Okay, so I've started recording our call. Welcome, everybody. It's time to start our call number 5 with our Director Bound series. And call number 5 is around the simple interview. And so it's around once you have somebody interested in the business, what do you do from there? How do you talk to them? How do you convince them that this is something they want to do? And just how do you have that conversation so that it's natural and comfortable for everyone? So that's what we're going to be going through tonight. And I see, I'm just making sure I think I can see everybody right now. So I'm going to so we're going to try something a little different tonight. Because we have such a small group, I really want to encourage participation. And I know in the past, maybe everybody's had the best intentions of participating, but sometimes it's a little overwhelming if you don't know everybody on the line and you're not comfortable with it. So I thought I'm just going to totally go off script tonight. So I'm not going to do a PowerPoint presentation. I'm just going to have all of us so we can see each other. And just chat about things tonight and really talk to you guys and find out what you're working on, what's going well, what's not going well, and go through the training that way. So before we start, I would love to get to know you guys a little bit more and find out what you're doing with your recruiting, find out in regards to your homework. I know the homework from last week, or from 2 weeks ago, excuse me, from Ellington's call, was around modifying your story and implementing ways to inform and invite at your shows. So whether it's playing a game, whether it's sharing your story, whether it's adding those tidbits of recruiting and stuff like that during your show. So I would love if everybody can just kind of go around, I'd love to say go around the room, but go around these squares here and just share your name, share something about how you've changed those things in your show recently, whether it's your story or a game or something, and talk about how you felt like that's going for you. And then if you want to share kind of where you're at with recruiting, maybe how many people you currently have on your team and what your goal is before the end of the year. Just so that we can get an idea with where everybody's at and we can get to know each other and feel comfortable so that we can have a great discussion on this call. So I'm going to pick on some of my folks first because I know they're not shy, and that'll hopefully get people warmed up and ready to go. So Tanya, would you like to go ahead and start?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited I got on this time. I don't know what was different,
so
but it just went right up. I was like, oh my God.
It worked.
Okay, so my name is Tanya, and I just signed my 3rd recruit last night.
Woo!
I'm really excited. And I think that a couple things have helped me. I think I talked about this with our group last week. I did change my story. I made it more personal. I made it more kind of emotional and more specific than it had been before. I think I was kind of broad and not really sharing as much about myself before. But I also think that I've just gotten more comfortable in selling and that I'm having more fun at my shows. And I've even had a couple of people be like, you looked like you were having so much fun. It made me want to do this too. So I think that those are 2 things that have contributed. And I'm really hoping to have my 5 soon. I have a couple people on my team who are working on signing someone. So we're hoping, if not by the end of this month, then by December for sure.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. Congratulations on all your success. Okay, how about the other Tanya?
Okay, so I'm Tanya Murphy, and I'm from Grand Forks, North Dakota. I'm under Brenda Coffey. Actually, was it last week, one of my recruits recruited someone.
That's exciting when that happens, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm at 5 now. And actually, I just had dinner with one of my friends who is also a recruit, and she's going to be hopefully signing someone on Friday. So I'll be up to 6. So we're real close. We just got to get everybody active this month.
Congratulations. That is amazing.
We've got 2 that we've got to get on board with being active this month, and then hopefully I'll be promoting out this month. So it's kind of exciting.
That is very exciting. Congratulations. That's awesome. So what do you think you've changed recently that's contributed to some of this growth on your team? Or did you change something at your show? Did you change your story? Like what would you say has contributed to that?
I'm not really sure.
Like, I don't know, but I'm going to keep doing it.
No, I know. Well, I mean, like when I signed up a year ago, 2 of my friends at my party signed up with me. So I had 2 recruits like right away. And then, how did that work? And then I met a girl at a vendor event who had been a consultant previously in California. And I said, well, hey, you should do it again. And she's like, yeah, I've been thinking about it. I said, well, then go for it, So she signed up, and then I signed another one here locally, and then she had her first party and surprised me by signing up her host. So I don't know. Not that it's all been intentional. It's just kind of fell into place,
So, do you share your story at your shows, Tanya?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
Good. And did you teach your team to do the same?
I can't say that I did that because it's only kind of been recently that I've actually been trying to be a leader to my team.
And that's okay.
Well, I mean, my 2 recruits are good friends of mine. One's a coworker and one's just a longtime friend. So, I mean, we talk a lot about stuff. So I guess maybe indirectly, but it's not like I did any definite training for that.
And what, do you play a game at your show, or what kind of way do you
I do the ticket game, and just talk about the business. I mean, and one thing that I'm trying to do now is to just ask everyone. And I just did a training today, and it basically said, don't be embarrassed. You're offering them an opportunity. It's not like you're offering them something bad. It's like if they want to take it, they take it. If they don't, they don't. But
yeah, it's supposed to be a good thing. Absolutely.
Right. It's a good thing. It's not like you're badgering them into something. So I'm trying to put that perspective into mine. It's like, well, I have this great thing going. Why shouldn't I share it with others? So
yeah. No, that's great. All right, so you're going to be Tanya with an O, and then the other Tanya is going to be Tanya with an A, just so that
sounds good. Yep.
So that way we can we don't get totally confused. So
right.
Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate it.
I was just changed up in my story, not only just making it about me, but making them see how they can do it as well and benefit, their family. I've had my best friend who finally did join, and she actually signed up another one of her friends as well. And then that friend has 2 more that are going to be signing up at the end of the week, probably.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
Jennifer,
you.
whose team are you on?
On Crystal Jackson.
Crystal. I just got to have breakfast with her the other day. I love her to pieces.
Yes.
I was out in Dallas the other day. So that's awesome. So,
yes.
Jennifer, how many people do you have on your team right now?
Currently 2, but we should have a total of 5, probably like by the end of the first week of December.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And what do you think you've changed recently with your show? What have you done to kind of increase this interest in the business?
Just letting them know that it's okay to be busy. You can still do it. Being busy. I mean, I work probably 60 hours a week. Still come home and do this. Still have the husband and the daughter to cook, clean up after, and do homework. And so just letting them know that it's okay, that life is busy, that you can still manage your own business on your own time.
Yeah, and we have to remember, right? Everyone does this for different reasons and at a different pace. Some people do it part-time and some people do it full-time, and we have to be able to make it appealing to all of those people, right?
Right.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Jennifer. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Jessica, do you want to go next?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. So, hi guys. I kind of haven't been doing much of anything in the last month or month and a half. So I don't really have much to share. I still have 2 people on my team.
You have 3?
3? I have 3. Well, yes, I do have 3. What else? So I have in the next week, I have 3 shows coming up. So I'm hoping to do some things there. Priscilla went to the training last week, and she went over everything that was covered, and it really makes sense about our why. So I'm working on my why, and I'm trying to get back in the swing of things and have a positive outlook.
Awesome. Good to have you on, Jessica. I appreciate you. And definitely incorporating that why into your story will really help too. So
Yeah, thanks.
awesome. Thanks for being on, and thanks for sharing, Jessica. All right, last but not least, Patsy. Oh, you have to unmute, Patsy.
There we go, right?
Here you
Yes.
are.
Hello. I have 4 people on my team. I have one team member who has recruited 2, and I recruited 1, so there's a new team member since the last training. I have 1 in the wings that I'm talking to, and it's been a challenging time, and for me the biggest challenge is figuring out if I'm doing Facebook parties or virtual parties. I had this light bulb moment like just now of like, how do you do an introduction either with a live video or when you're doing a Facebook party? How do you let them know who you are so that you're personal to them, so then you mean something to these people that you've never met? I've done 2 Facebook parties with people that are either in other states or that I don't really know, and I was like, oh well, I had an idea for some bullets and to like actually type out things, put pictures, and say, this is who I am, this is why I do what I do. And that's something I haven't done, and it just occurred to me. So I think that's something to implement as I change my style of shows for the next few months.
Awesome.
So that was helpful. It was just
that's a really good point, Patsy. I think it's really important to remember that even with virtual parties, we need to make sure that we're sharing our story and we're introducing ourselves and we're making ourselves relatable and personable, because sometimes in virtual parties, I know I never really thought about that before, and it's not until recently that I've been doing an introduction. I've been posting pictures about my family and who I am and what I do in this business, because that's how you're going to connect with people. Otherwise, you know, they're going to connect with the host more, which is okay, but we want them to connect with us too. So I think that's a really good point. And if you guys could do me a favor, if you're not muted, Jessica, I think you need to mute, hon. There's some background noise. So just make sure you're muted, and if there's any background noise at all, because it really gets kind of loud on the call, so that way we can have a great conversation. But please feel free to jump in and unmute, because I really want this to be a conversation with you guys. We have a really unique opportunity to be able to do this with only 6 of us. So let's all share and learn from each other tonight. So some of the things that I had planned tonight was to go through a simple interview, to be able to have the conversation with people that are interested. And one of the things that I think is most important is remembering to recruit our host, right? Because that's where you're going to get the most interest. So out of all people on the phone tonight or on the video tonight, how many people hosted a show first before whether a virtual show or a live show, before they signed up? Everybody? Patsy, I know you did. Okay, good. You're like, awesome. And I know Jessica did too. She was at a show. I don't know if Jessica, had you hosted a show before you signed up, hon?
I did not know.
You were at a show though, right?
Yes, I was at Mary Jane's show.
That's right. Okay. So most people do host a show first before they decide to sign up, because they love the product. And so why wouldn't you sign your host? Because they're the ones that love the product. So how many people make sure they show up? If first of all, I know my folks do live cooking shows. Jennifer and Tanya with an O, do you both do live cooking shows, or do you only do virtual?
I do both.
You do both? Okay, Jennifer?
I do both as well.
Okay, good. All right, awesome. Because I want to make sure that I'm speaking to everyone, and I know some people do virtual only. So whenever I go to a cooking show with a host, one of the most important things is to show up at least 30 minutes early. And I have some people that say, oh, well, it only takes me about 15 minutes to set up, and then I'm ready. So I get there about 15 minutes early. And I'm telling you, it's not just about the setup. It's not just about the prep. It's having that conversation with your host. And I know in the past calls, we've also talked about host coaching and really working with your host to find out if they're interested in the business so that you can have that conversation and turn it into a grand opening show. But I personally get to a show at least 30 minutes early because I don't give up. I still have that conversation before the show actually starts. So whenever I'm going to a show, I get there at least half an hour early. And then I ask my host again, I talk to him about, like, who do you have coming? You know, how many people are you expecting? You know, who's really excited? Who's new to Pampered Chef? Who's been to Pampered Chef before? Because I really want to get an idea, and I want that host to talk to me about what's going on because I want to see her level of excitement and enthusiasm. And then once you get that, if she's like, oh my gosh, we have like 12 people coming, I'm so excited, and they're so excited to see the fajitas, and they can't believe they're going to be done in the microwave, and you know, and they have this excitement. And then I ask them again, and I say, okay, now I know I've asked you this before, and I know up until now you've said no, but I really want to understand if this is something that you want to try. I need to know now because I really do change the way that I do my introduction if you're interested in doing this, because if you're going to use the kit credit to sign up, I'm really going to help you look for those bookings tonight because I want you to be able to have leads. And most of the time you find that hosts are afraid to sign because they're not sure where their business is going to come from. They don't know where their first shows are going to come from. And I tell them, I'm going to help you do that. If that's something you're even a little bit interested in tonight, tell me because I want to make sure that I'm really looking for those bookings for you tonight. And I just wait and see what she says. And if she says, gosh, you know, I'm kind of on the fence about it, but I am a little concerned about who's going to book for me and where I'm going to find the time to do those shows. And so if she says that, then I'm going to work really hard because I'm going to know that she's interested in that kit credit and that she might be interested in those bookings. And I'll tell you, when you tell people, when you talk about bookings and stuff at your show, and you tell people that you're really excited and you're growing your business and you want, you know, you're looking for those people that are interested in free product, then, and I'm sorry, make sure you guys are muted, okay? Jessica, Patsy, make sure you guys are muted. Thank you so much. There's just a little bit of noise in the background, sorry. I want to make sure the recording comes through clear. So I always say, you know, if that's something you're interested in, then I really want to make sure that I offer, you know, that I'm letting people know that the bookings are going to be for that host, for my Susie host, because it really does change. A lot of times you may have maybe 2 or 3 people that are interested in booking, but if you tell them that your host is interested in doing this and she wants to try this, you'll be surprised like how many people are like, okay, well, if she's going to do it, then I'll go ahead and host with her. And so you really want to have that conversation before the show starts. Now, if she's like, yeah, I really do think I want to do this and I'm very interested in this, I offer them again. And this is up to you if you want to do this or not, but I'm there. I might as well turn it into a grand opening show. And I'll ask her again. I'll say, well, if you'd like, we can go ahead and jump on the computer and order your kit before the show starts. And this will be your grand opening show. And then you're going to make the money on the show and the free product. If we don't sign you up beforehand, then you can get the free product and the kit credit. What sounds more appealing to you? And ask them. And I had just a couple months ago, I actually had a host sign up 10 minutes before everybody walked through the door, and we turned it into a grand opening show. So make sure you're asking that host, because if she's even a little interested, number one, you need to be looking for the bookings at her show for her and helping her get started and really promoting that kit credit. And then two, if she's really interested, you need to be offering it to her before people even walk in the door, so that way you can get them signed. And you can't do that if you're not getting to your show early and having that conversation. So what do you guys think about that? Do you guys have any thoughts about, have you tried that before? Have you felt like this has worked before? Have you not even thought about it before? Like, I'd love to hear what you guys think, or if you've tried it and ran into roadblocks, let's talk about that. This is the part you can unmute.
I have thought about it. This is Patsy.
Hi, Patsy.
I have thought about it because, because I hosted for you, right?
Yeah.
I was a host for you. I was a terrible host. I was like world's worst host.
You were not the world's worst host.
Because I've gone to a party. Because I've gone to a party.
I was last week, Patsy.
I was already interested, and so watching you do the show at my house, like I was already thinking that I wanted to join.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have that emphasis, right? Like, what if they're like me, like they're a little reluctant, but you're telling them already that you can have shows for them ready to go. Like,
Yes.
it takes the effort and the responsibility off of them, like the stress of making that decision and knowing that they're going to be ready.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we find, right, that most people say no to us, not because they're like, well, I really love Pampered Chef, but I don't really need any more products and I don't need any money and I'm not really interested in a business. That's not why, right? We know that. It's most of the time it's because they have some kind of a concern, because they're worried about who's going to host for them. They're worried about how they're going to find the time to do this. They're worried because they don't know how to, cook in the kitchen and they cut themselves on a piece of paper, let alone picking up a knife in front of people. Like, they always have these concerns, and if we don't help them work through those concerns, then we're going to lose that potential recruit. And a lot of times I find that the majority of the time they don't want to sign up because they're really afraid of where those first few shows are going to come from.
Right.
So, and even when I signed up 9 years ago, my consultant offered me my bookings, and it was my neighbor and my sister and one of my coworkers. And I would have never known my sister was interested in it now. And now she's on my team and selling in Ohio. So, I mean, you don't know. And when she created those leads for me, I'm like, well, why wouldn't I do it? I've already got the leads. She just made it easy for me. And we want to do that. We want to make it easy for them. Any other thoughts about signing before the show and signing even in that 30 minutes before the show, or helping them get the booking so that they feel comfortable using the kit credit? No? Okay. So
wait, I want to add something. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So that was partially how I signed the last girl that I just signed up last night.
Uh-huh.
She had some outside orders from her show, and I knew she was kind of interested going into it, so we had started talking about it. I wasn't explicit enough like you just described, so that's something for me to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But her outside orders hadn't selected a free gift, even though they spent the $75. So after the show, I called them and was like, hey, I just wanted to make sure that we added your free gift on. Thank you so much for shopping. And I just wanted you to know that Sabrina is going to be selling now. And are you interested in doing a show for her so I can let her know? And both of the people said yes. And so when I called her to confirm like our appointment for signing her up, I was like, just so you know, I got you 2 other bookings, and one wants to do virtual because she has family out of town, and one's interested in cooking. And she was like, really? And I think that helped a lot. So I kind of took advantage of their mistake on their order, and it helped me out.
And that's a great reminder. Again, people are more willing to help the host because it's their friend, And so that's a really great point. And that's something that maybe we should think about, is calling those outside orders after a show to let them know, hey, the host did decide to sign, and I just wanted to let you know because she's looking for support from her friends and family. Is this something you'd like to do for her? So I think that's a great reminder. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. So
I was going to share something as you guys were talking. Like with our team, the thing that I'm so impressed about with our team is that we just help each other with everything we do. I mean, it's like if you have an issue, you get a hold of someone, they help you through it, or if you have a success or whatever. But what I was thinking as Tanya was talking was, I mean, that's the ideal situation for signing someone up, is at their party, and the fact that you're helping them to get their business started, I think speaks well for, our company, or just, for the whole process, because then they know that they're not alone. They have someone who can help them get their business going and such. I think that's a good start for that person starting up. It's just, I don't know. I just think it's because sometimes people think, oh, well, if I do this, how am I gonna make my business go? Am I in this all by myself? Well, no, you're proving to them right then and there that, no, if you want to do this, I'll help you. I'll even help you get your first bookings. I'll get you all set up and everything. So,
isn't that neat?
I don't know. It's just something that I love about this business, is that, it's more about helping people rather than competing with people,
Thank you. Yes. And I think I love that you feel that same way about your team and your local team, because we feel that about ours too. And I'm sure Jennifer, working with Crystal, feels the same way. Everyone is in it to help each other. And that's why we're doing these calls, that's why we're all supporting each other. That's why we all comment and ask questions and support each other and share ideas, because that's what this business is about. And I love being able to show other people that that's what our business is about. And then it sets the precedence when they sign that they're going to do that for the next person. And it just, that whole pay it forward concept. I love it. In fact, I had a quote that I was going to share at the end, but now I feel like I need to share it now. It's so awesome. So the quote I was going to share is, the best way to multiply your happiness is to share it with others. And, I really love that one, because this business makes me happy. And, it's not about, getting somebody to work on your team and to make more money, and I need another person so I can promote to director, or anything like that. It's about, this business has created so much happiness and joy in my life. Why wouldn't I want to share that with others? And by not sharing it, it's selfish. And when we look at it that way, it makes us a little less afraid to share it. So thanks. I appreciate that. Okay, so moving on to the next idea I was going to talk about was around keeping it simple. And this is super important when we're talking about the business. And, this is a training I've done with my team a lot. And it's about, you've heard of the acronym KISS, K-I-S-S, Keep It Simple, Sweetie. There might be another name for it too, but we'll just say Sweetie. But it's about keeping it simple. And I have a rule of thumb whenever I'm working with somebody about the business and talking to somebody about the business. You should be able to answer every single question that they have about the business in 2 sentences or less. Every single question they have about the business, 2 sentences or less. And I know sometimes people hear that and they're like, oh, that's impossible, because there's some questions that really require a lot of my thought and my comments and my explanation, and I can promise you it doesn't. And so whenever you're playing the ticket game at your show, or you're doing a recruiting interview, you're talking with people about the business, I want you to think about this. And even more so, I would love for you to practice this. And this is going to be part of your homework. Is around KISS, Keep It Simple, Sweetie, 2 sentences or less. So whenever you're doing that, just picture me in your head going, KISS, in 2 sentences. So let's talk about what that looks like. So when you're talking to somebody, whether it's, again, at a ticket game at your show, or you're in an interview with somebody and you're having that business chat with somebody, and they have a question about the business, and it might sound something like this if you're not used to 2 sentences or less. So they may say something like, is there a recruiting promotion for the month of November? And you get so excited because you're like, oh my gosh, yes, there is an awesome recruiting promotion this month. For the month of November, it's a deep covered baker. So when you do your $12.50 in sales and qualifying sales in 30 days or less, and you're going to get a deep covered baker for free. And you're also going to get 100 Pampered Chef Bucks. And 100 Pampered Chef Bucks, you can spend on anything. You can spend it like on business material, and you can spend it on product, and we get a discount. And then, oh, if it's new, you get a 50% off. You've lost them. Like, they're like, this sounds way too complicated. And so when you learn to do 2 sentences or less and really force yourself to think about what you're going to say before you say it, the conversation goes in the direction that they want it to go. And so, for example, when you're talking about the recruiting promotion, is there a recruiting promotion for the month? Yes, there is an amazing recruiting promotion for the month. It is our deep covered baker. Have you seen our deep covered baker? And they'll say, yes, I love the deep covered baker. And you say, have you seen the new color? And they go, oh my gosh, I love the new color. Even if they have a cranberry one, they're still going to want the new one. Yeah, and Tanya's nails match our new colors. Tanya was very happy about that. So then what are they going to say? They're going to say, okay, so, how do I get that deep covered baker? And you say, well, when you do your qualifying sales of $12.50 in your first 30 days, that deep covered baker is yours absolutely free. Now, there's going to be lead-on questions, right? Of course, they're going to ask, the next question is going to be, what does $12.50 in qualifying sales mean? And then you can answer with, well, we find that $12.50 in sales in your first month of business, we can usually do in about 2 to 3 cooking shows. Do you think you can fit 2 to 3 cooking shows in your schedule in the next month? And they might say yes or no, or yes, but I don't know who. And so again, they're leading the questions, and they're leading the conversation. So you can answer this in 1 to 2 sentences, and then let them ask the next question. Rather than you try and clarify things that they may not want clarified, they might want to move on to something completely different. So can you guys think, if you guys want to shout out, I'd love to hear from you guys. What other kind of questions do you hear at a show, whether it's a ticket game or maybe when you're having a business conversation with somebody? What are some questions that somebody might ask about the business?
How much do I have to sell a month?
Great question, Tanya, with an O. So to be active in this business, it's just $150 in sales or one show. How awesome is that? And then I stop. Now they're going to ask like, oh, okay, so that's all I have to do. Well, we'll talk about that. But they may say, oh, okay, that's kind of what I was looking for. Maybe they've done other direct selling businesses and they just want to know what the minimum is. You know, but the other thing that I would even add on top of that is, and I would say, one show a month would keep you active. Tanya, how much are you looking to do in this business? How much money would be something you're looking for in this business? And turn it around on them and ask them. And so that way it kind of leads the conversation where they want to go. What other kind of questions?
I always get asked, do we have to keep a certain amount of product like on hand or purchase every month? And I just tell them, no, you buy as much as you want or you earn as much as, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you can even tell them, you know what, Jennifer, what's great about this business is we don't have to keep any inventory on hand because all the product ships directly to our host, so I make 0 deliveries.
Right.
You know, and that's a great way of answering it too. But you're right. That you can buy as much as you want for your personal consumption and for your demo. And P.S. it's a tax deduction.
Right.
So awesome. What other kind of, so if I was to turn this around on you guys and I was to say, oh, I've heard from somebody that you can earn a trip with this business. How do you earn a trip? Can anyone try and answer that? 2 sentences or less?
I just got asked that today.
Awesome. All right. How did you answer it?
Okay. So I don't know if it was 2 sentences, but I did try and keep it simple. I believe I said something like, well, there's a couple of ways that you earn points towards the trip, and there's a great way to track it online for you so you don't have to worry about it. But the 2 ways are that you sell product and you sign people up.
Awesome.
And that was pretty much it. And I said, if you want to know more later, then we can do that. And then we also talked about using that as a way to get her friend to sign up. So
perfect. And that's a great way, right? There's 2 ways to earn points for the trip, and that's through selling and recruiting. So that's an awesome way to get that conversation started because their natural next question is going to be, how much do you have to sell to earn a trip? And what would your answer be to that, Tanya, with an O?
So for the first level of trip, as a consultant, I can't remember. It's like 60,000.
Okay. And so they don't understand what that means. So what's an easy way to explain that?
Oh, so for every $1 you sell, you earn 1 point, and for every recruit that you get that qualifies, you earn 3,000 points.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So that's a great way to explain how to accumulate the points. And then what would you say, Patsy? What would you say? Well, so then what does that mean to me? Like, how many shows do I have to do in a month to earn a trip?
I think you would. I'm really good at complicating things, so I'd say you can have.
That's why we're practicing.
I'm being honest. You can hold 6 to 8 shows a month, whatever you're comfortable with. And your goal is to decide whether you want to have shows with high sales or whether you want to have more shows.
Okay, awesome. So 6 to 8 shows a month. So here's a real simple way of doing this, you guys. Whenever somebody asks, how do you earn a trip with Pampered Chef? I do exactly what Tanya said to start out. I say there's 2 ways to earn points. One is through selling and one is through growing your team. But I find that it's about consistency. And when you're willing to do 2 shows a week, whether live or virtual, you can earn a trip with the Pampered Chef. Done. So practice this, you guys. I'm telling you, because you know what kind of questions. I would even sit down and I would go 1 through 10, and I would create a list of the top 10 questions that people ask you at a show or during a conversation, a business chat, when you're talking to somebody in a recruiting interview. And then I want you to practice, whether you talk to your dog, whether you talk to your director, whether you talk to your kid, and just have them ask those questions and then challenge yourself. You know, and if you really want to have fun with it, get out a big bag of Hershey Kisses. And when you can answer it in 2 sentences or less, have your kid throw a Hershey Kiss at you. And they go, woo! And then go to the next one. But you've got to practice this, because that's what happens, right? We get so excited that we either tell them way too much information, or we're kind of stuck because we're like, oh, I don't really know how to answer that without making it sound too complicated or too hard. Right? So how do you guys feel about the KISS concept and being able to do this in 2 sentences or less? Are you guys, do you like that idea? Yes, I love the thumbs up. You guys are so much fun. So it really is just practice that conversation, and it really, really makes a big difference. And you know, I really think you'll feel more confident when you answer your questions too.
Yes.
It'll keep the flow of your show going during the ticket game, and it will keep the conversation simple when you're doing the recruiting interview. So, okay, any questions or comments about that before we move on? No?
I think the consistency of continuing to practice, which is one of those things that I need to work at. Like, it's so like when I hear it from you say, you just have to be consistent, that doesn't give you a number, and it's something that somebody can digest.
Mm-hmm. Because we do, right? I mean, we start talking, we know in our, you know, it's really funny when we get into this business. How many people have been in the business more than a year? Raise a hand. Okay, I know Patsy's raising her hand. Yep. Jessica's almost at a year. Tanya's at about 6 months. So when we've been in this business more than a few months, more than a year, we get those terms down, right? We know what qualified means. We know what recruiting means. We know what trip points are. We know what recruiting points are. We know what, you know, all of those kind of sample sales and supply orders and Pampered Chef Bucks and order payment accounts. We know all these terms, but when you start throwing out these terms nonchalantly during your ticket game or during a business chat or a business interview, you really lose people. So you have to find simple terminology that everyone understands, and being able to answer it in 2 sentences or less, I promise you will make a huge difference when you're recruiting. Okay? All right, so moving on, I'm super excited. We're getting somewhere. So recruiting interviews or business chats is what I like to call them. How many people, so if you have somebody at your show, right, and we always try and sign them at their show, and I know Ellington's phenomenal at this, and she talks a lot about signing people at the show, right? You're at a full service checkout. They say, yeah, I'm super excited. I want kit number 2, and you go, yeah, that's awesome. And you get them signed up and you take care of that at the show. But what happens if they're like, you know what, it really sounds awesome and I'm really interested and you made it sound fun during the ticket game, but I don't know. I'm not ready to, I just want to get my food shopper and go home. I don't know. That's too much right now, right? Okay. So you don't want to scare them off. So what do you want to do? You say, you know what? I totally understand, Jennifer, that you're not ready to sign tonight, and I totally appreciate that. But I would love to get together and buy you a cup of coffee or a Diet Coke, whichever one you like better. I'm a Diet Coke girl, so I'm not a coffee girl. I drink Diet Coke starting at 6 a.m. So I always say, I'd like to buy you a cup of coffee or a Diet Coke. Is there a time either tomorrow or the day after that you can get together that might work for you? And I schedule it right then and there before they leave my full service checkout. And the reason that I want to do that is because I want to get it on the calendar, and we know how much fun playing phone tag is or phone texting with somebody afterwards. So I always try and schedule it right then and there. And I tell them, you know what? I know you're going to go home and think about this, and you're going to have so many other questions that are going to come in your head. And I just want to make myself available in the next 48 hours to answer those questions. How does that sound? Okay? Again, practice those words. It'll make a big difference at your show. So then I put that on my calendar, and then I schedule this business chat, right? And we go to Starbucks or we go to Chick-fil-A and we get our Diet Coke and we sit down to talk about this. And I'm ready with my 10 most asked questions so that I can keep it simple. And then what's another piece of business information that Pampered Chef has supplied for us that makes this business chat super, super easy?
The interview card.
The interview cards. I see my folks going. So the interview card. So Tanya with an O and Jennifer, are you guys aware of the business, the recruiting interview cards that are out there with Pampered Chef? Yeah? Okay. You can say no if you don't. It's okay. But there's those little interview cards that you can take with you to those appointments. And then there's also a virtual system that you can do. You can actually download these on your phone. And then they're interactive. Have you guys used the interactive ones? They're so fun. So I would highly suggest go find it. It's under the recruiting section of Consultants Corner. And they even give you instructions, whether you have an Android phone or an Apple phone, and how to download those. And then they're interactive. So if somebody says, oh, I'd like to learn more about how to earn money with the Pampered Chef, they click on that. And the slide comes up with bullet points. And then you don't even have to be prepared with questions and answers, because it walks you through the interview process with you. And so if you haven't used those cards yet, go play with those. That's going to be one of our other homework challenges right now, is to make sure that you give those a try. Whether you take them in person, that's okay if you're more comfortable with that, or having it on your phone. And again, play around with it before you go to your show or go to your business chat, so that way you're comfortable using them. But it basically does two things whenever you're at a business chat or a recruiting interview. Number one, it kind of helps you get to know them, right? And create that relationship with them, find out what they do for a living, find out what kind of family life they have at home, get to know them. And that's really important, because one, it's going to create the relationship with them. And two, what it does is it helps you work the business into their life. So if you know that they're working full time, you're not going to talk about doing this full time and during the day and things like that. You're going to modify the business so that it fits their lifestyle. Same if you're talking to a stay-at-home mom that has 5 young kids at home, you're going to help her by generating contacts and leads and things like that in the business through all of her kids and that interaction that she has with her children and staying at home during the day, right? You're not going to talk about how you're going to get coworkers to book a show, because she doesn't have coworkers. She has 5 kids at home. So getting to know somebody is really important to start out the conversation. And then the next part of that with those recruiting cards is they actually help guide the conversation to what suits them, right? We know in this business, everybody joins for different reasons. I can guarantee just even the 6 people that we have online right now, everyone joined for a different reason. So how do you guide the conversation to what interests them? If you start automatically assuming and jumping into this whole thing about, oh my gosh, it's so amazing, you can make so much money in this business, you can, if you do this many shows, you're going to make this much, and if you do this many shows, you're going to make this much, and they're looking at you like, I'm not in this for the money, I just want to have everything in the catalog. And so you totally went off on a different tangent with them. And those interview cards will help you do that and help you have a conversation that goes the way they want it to go. And again, when you're keeping it simple and you're answering those in 1 or 2 questions, or that question in 1 or 2 sentences, then it stops you from going down that rabbit hole, because they're guiding the questions. They're asking you the next question, and you're not talking about what you want to talk about. So what do you guys think about the recruiting cards? How many people have used them? Just show of hands. How many people have actually tried them? Awesome. Jennifer, how did you feel like it went?
It went really good. And actually, that's how I got my best friend to finally do it, because she had been buying tons of products from me.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to just tell you, I agree with you about meeting with them for, a drink somewhere.
Uh-huh.
That's actually how I got my past 2 recruits, is that I kind of went through back my numbers and reports and saw who was buying the most from me and who had been hosting the most parties for me. And I said, hey, I just want to kind of touch base with you guys, and I would love to keep selling you, but I would love for you to also make money while getting them for free. And they both signed, because, I just met them at Starbucks and
Yay!
kind of showed them the business aspect of it. So, this is how much you're spending with me every year, and you could be earning this and making money off of it.
Smart. I like how you brought the numbers into it. That's smart. Very good. Very good. And that's the thing. We make it so complicated sometimes. It could be just something simple, like they want to get everything in the catalog. They would rather get their stuff at discount. So I think that's great you brought that into it. Thanks for sharing, Jennifer. Who else wants to share that's used the recruiting cards and that wants to share something about them? I feel like somebody wants to share. Tanya with the no!
Yeah.
You unmuted.
Well, I used them once. That person decided not to sign up, but I liked them. It was, like you said, it was nice to guide the conversation. It was my first recruit interview solo, and so I was a little nervous, but it was nice to just have that, like you said, as a guide to guide you and your potential recruit through the process of finding out, you know, what are they looking for in the business, and how can this business help them. So I think it's a really good tool to have. I mean, I left that interview very relaxed and felt like, oh, I can do this, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and what's so nice about it, right? This brings up another point. Thank you for sharing. If you make it look that easy, right, and you feel relaxed and you feel like there's a natural flow to the conversation, imagine how they're looking at this. They're like, okay, so if I want to do this, like Pampered Chef gives me these cards and then I can go do these interviews too. Like, how easy does your job look right now?
Right.
Like, I think that's sometimes what's intimidating about what we do is if we have a really polished presentation and we're really good at what we do, they look at you and they're like, I could never do that. But when we bring out these interview cards and we make everything so simple, you know, it makes our job look easy and fun and relaxed. So,
Want to be part of my school?
So awesome. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. So, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to go over with you guys today is just really, those are kind of the three things that I wanted to cover today. One is about really making sure that you arrive at your shows early and have that conversation with your host. Just to recap about making sure that you get there early, asking her if she's interested, letting her know that you're going to do your best to get her the bookings and the leads and things like that from the show. And then even asking if she's ready to purchase her kit before the show starts and flipping that into a grand opening. The second thing is around the KISS acronym and keeping it simple and practice, practice, practice. Write down that list of 10 or 20 questions that you get and then being able to answer those. I mean, every single question my team knows, like they're like, okay, well, what do you say about this one? And they know that I'll turn around and say, okay, these are my 2 sentences. Like they're rehearsed because you want to be able to make this look simple and easy. And it's hard. It's hard to keep it simple when you're excited and you just want to tell them everything, but I promise you scare the poop out of them, so don't do it. And then the third thing is just using those recruiting cards, whether you use the hard copy cards or the virtual cards, and making sure that you're using those during your recruiting interviews and making sure that you schedule anyone that's even slightly interested. Just tell them, I want to buy you a Coke. I want to buy you a cup of coffee. Nobody ever says no to that. Buy them breakfast, whatever they want to do. I mean, sometimes, you know, maybe it's on a lunch hour, you know, hey, I'll meet you on a lunch hour and, you know, we'll grab some Chick-fil-A or, you know, something, Panera Bread or something that's quick and easy on their lunch hour. I will go anywhere and make it a priority during the day because I know that if I can have that face-to-face time and answer those questions and take those recruiting cards with me, it makes a big difference. So make sure if you have somebody that's interested, sometimes we're nervous to be too pushy. And so we say, okay, well, call me if you have any questions, or maybe you can come to one of my next meetings, and you really do lose that lead. So make sure you schedule that time with them. And, you know, and they may say no, but that's okay. You've got to at least try. And then use those recruiting cards. So homework, you guys probably have already guessed a lot of this. So I want you guys to really practice with those simple interview cards and really try those faithfully over the next few weeks when you're meeting with recruit potentials. You can't use those cards unless you have recruit potentials, so make sure that you're asking people to meet up after the show if they don't sign up at the show. But I want to really challenge you specifically to have an interview with at least 3 people. Now, if you don't have 3 recruit leads or people that have been interested at your shows, I want you to do what Jennifer was talking about, and I think Tanya said with it as well. Call up some friends. Call up your sister. Call up your mom. Call up your neighbor. And just say, you know what? This lady Genevieve in New Mexico challenged me to meet with 3 people and do these like recruiting card things, and I've got to give it a try, and I'm looking for somebody that'd be interested in helping me. Will you just come along with me? I'll buy you a Diet Coke at Panera Bread, and we can talk about this, and we can go through it. It'll take like 20 minutes of your time. Would you be interested in doing this for me? And more than likely, they're going to say yes, and you're truly using it as a practice, but it may surprise you. You may end up citing somebody as well. But look for those 3 people that are interested in doing that with you. The other thing I'd like for you guys to do is to observe an interview. So call your director, call an upline, call a strong recruiter on your team. and ask if they have something set up with somebody, and ask if you can tag along. So that's what I wanted to challenge you guys to do. Oh, and then the last thing, excuse me, was to make that list of 10 questions, right? We already gave you some of them tonight. How do you earn a trip? What's the minimum you have to do in a month? What's the recruiting promotion for the month, or the signing bonus? So there's a couple right there. But think of more. Think of, and as you're doing your shows, you know, have a notebook there ready. And when somebody asks a question, you go, that's a great question. I'm actually making a list of my top 10 favorite questions. So excuse me while I go write this down, and just write it down really quick. Because then if you don't answer it perfectly that time, go home and practice and then be ready the next time. So I want you to do that top 10 list of questions that are going to be asked either during a show or during your interviews, and then practice the 2 sentences or less so that you can answer it effectively. And then I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite quotes that I absolutely love in this business, and I love in life in general. And it says, the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. And I think we have such an amazing business, and this is truly a gift. And it can enrich your life only so much, but it can do it 1,000 times more when you're willing to give it away. And so I don't want you to ever feel like you're being pushy, or you're being intrusive, or you're being that irritating business person because all she wants me to do is sign up and buy this kit and join her team. I really want you to look at it as you have a true gift to offer people, and by not offering it to it, you're keeping that gift to yourself, and we don't want to do that. We want to offer it to everyone, and people really need what we have to offer if we're willing to share it. So that's what I have tonight. That's part of what I was going to present. Do you guys have any follow-up questions, or anything you want to chat about? Anything that's concerning? Anything that you've tried that just doesn't work, or ask me my favorite color? Like, what do you want to talk about? Anything?
I need to keep it simple.
I love that. Thank you, Jessica, for being brave and sharing.
Because I'm one of those that I get really excited and I kind of ramble. So I need to just cut it short, keep it sweet and simple.
And you have to practice that. It's not natural. I'm the same way. I could sit and talk to you guys for hours. We could be here till midnight talking about recruiting because that's how much I love it, but I'm not. So I picked 3 of my favorite, like, kind of recruiting, tips for tonight that I wanted to talk about the interview process and getting people to sign. So you have to be able to do the same for those people too. So what's one thing, Jessica, for the homework, what's one thing that kind of stands out as something you need to do specifically?
I need to practice.
Awesome.
You didn't say this right now in the homework, but when you said get your kids, I'm going to get my kids and I'm going to have them ask me questions.
Do it. I'm telling you, the kids love it. Anytime I ask my kids to do it, they're like, yes. And they go get their apron and they put it on and they're like so excited to help. So get your kids. I'm telling you, even if it's just a dog sitting there, just have somebody, you got to have another set of eyes to look into. Do it in the mirror, do it with a pet, do it with your kids. Like, you got to have somebody, or just grab a friend. And I'm telling you, once you ask somebody, like, once you feel comfortable sitting down and trying the interview, just go grab anybody, your mom, your friend, your sister, your neighbor, I mean, you don't have to, you know that you're interested in getting them assigned for reals, but you're just telling them, hey, I'm going to buy you a Diet Coke and we're going to practice this thing I got to do. It's my homework. I got to do it. So, okay, awesome. Anyone else want to share something they're excited about doing or trying, or?
Oh my gosh, that lady, I wonder if she knows that
No?
she can do her.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, I agree with Jessica, just keeping it simple. So as you're telling us this, it's almost to me a challenge not to talk too much,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I'm going to look at it. It's like, okay, just challenge yourself to just give them, and I think it works because you're giving them enough information to pique their interest.
Yes.
And then, like you said, they will, their response will direct where the interview is going and what they're interested in. Because like you said, if you give them too much information, they're going to go, well, maybe that's not for me. That's not what I was looking for. So
Exactly. Yeah.
my challenge is to just cut back on giving too much information.
I'm telling you, go get a bag of Hershey Kisses, like, and sit and take them to your recruiting interview and just put them in the middle and just say, I've got a personal challenge I'm working on. And if I can do this in 2 sentences or less, I'm taking a Hershey Kiss. If I can't, you get the Hershey Kiss. Like, have fun with it, you guys. This is, you know, it really makes a huge difference.
Even when you're doing the ticket game, because I find that, you know, you're, like you said, you're excited, you want to tell them all about what you know, but, you know, when you do that, I also find in the ticket game is you're not giving out as many tickets because you're telling them too much, and so then they don't have any more questions to ask.
And one thing, just really quick, what I do at the ticket game that might help you with this is when I play the ticket game, I really am conscious about answering it in 1 or 2 sentences. And then when I'm tempted to go to a 3rd sentence and say, and another thing, what I'll do is I'll turn it into a question. I'll be like, and another great follow-up question to this would be blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, I'll ask that. And then you'll give out another ticket. So they feel like they're a part of it and it's a conversation and not a monologue.
That sounds good.
So thanks for sharing. I appreciate it, Tanya with an O. Anyone else? All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and I'm going to post this, and I'll post the homework. But I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight. I was afraid I was going to be the only one on, and it was going to be a really weird and awkward conversation. So I know it's a busy night, but I really appreciate you guys, and I'm really grateful to get to know you guys a little bit more. And I hope you got something out of this tonight, and I can't wait to hear all your success. So make sure and post about it on our team page. On the director page and share what's working for you. And if I can help with any follow-up, feel free to private message me or ask questions on the team page. I'd be happy to do that. Okay, guys?
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.